It is one thing to write a beautiful, comprehensive D&I policy that gets rubber stamped by HR. It is entirely a different beast to make it the living, the breathing DNA of a company. When we shift from compliance to culture, we move from policing behavior to really actually modeling it. To bridge that gap and ensure inclusion becomes an everyday workplace reality, I have my 2 cents, and that would be intentionally to focus on these two areas. Number one, I think one should fix your meeting vibes, and by that I mean that big projects are cool, but the real culture happens in those small everyday movements. That's where inclusion actually starts counting. And number two, let's stop using culture fit as an excuse. So if you want people to be really inclusive, you've got to make it worth their while. If a rock star lead hits their numbers but makes everyone around miserable, rewarding them is just telling the team that only results matter. I think instead we should reward inclusive leads. So let's start judging people, the leaders, managers, on things that really make sure that there is inclusion and happiness in the team. How many people stay, how well they are, they help around everybody, not just contributing to the bottom line. So that would be my take on this. I think what we have landed here is the classic leader's paradox. You're so busy fueling everyone else's engine that your own tank runs on fumes. When you're managing large teams or scaling initiatives, your calendar actually isn't just yours, but it belongs to your people. So if you try to fit self learning into these gaps of a standard work week, it simply won't happen. You have to stop treating learning or growth as a nice to have hobby, but start treating it as a core operational requirement. I think to protect your own growth while managing heavy responsibilities, it's very important that we focus on realistic shifts. So we actually move from disparate learnings to integrated learning. One doesn't actually need to carve out pristine, uninterrupted 2-hour blocks on their calendars to read a textbook. Instead, it can be something which can be seamlessly integrated into the daily work that one does. Also, there is not just one mode of learning. One can always learn from people around, from your respective teams as well. You don't need to be the smartest person in your room. You just need to be the most curious. Like, you can use your one-on-ones or your team syncs to ask the subject matter experts to teach you. Try asking, can you walk me through your framework for this? I want to understand the mental model which was employed in delivering this end-to-end project. I think this two-bird strategy would actually help people seamlessly navigate this paradox as we talked about. Well, that's a very interesting question to answer, because it really makes me do a lot of reflection. One, and also it makes me realize that, oh my God, I am not so young anymore, which my heart tells me every day that I am. So I think inherently, I'll share with you that I used to be one of the most competitive people around, and I would constantly compare myself to others, or I would chase milestones that would be arbitrary in nature. Now that, like you said, a decade plus experience, I think a little bit of maturity has also sunk in. So I do not do comparisons with others. I rather compare myself to myself, because when life happens, you're no more that individual ambitious self. You get married, you start having families, you start having priorities. I think a lot of that compass has to really point towards you, rather than, you have to become intrinsic, and you have to have those motivators all around you, intrinsic, not extrinsic, like it used to be for me earlier. I think what I do intentionally is that I measure my growth, my personal growth, year on year, against myself. So one, I think instead, I have moved away from comparing or chasing arbitrary milestones. Like I said, I instead look back at who I were 12 months ago, and to me now that's the only benchmark that matters. So what are the momentums that I was able to build? For example, what have been the massive challenges that I am navigating today? Uh, Probably those were the things that overwhelmed me 3 years ago. So it really helps me understand that, I've been more agile, I've been more adaptable, and I've been able to navigate the gray, so to speak. Also, second, it also helps me get a realistic reflection upon myself. So in the daily grind, it almost feels like nothing is changing, but you look back at your full calendar year, you can clearly see the shift in how you make decisions, how you handle pressure, and the caliber of the problems that now you're entrusted with to solve. So when I look back at my own trajectory over the years, in fact over the last year, what is that biggest shift I notice in myself, whether it's in my perspective, or whether how I protect my energy, or how I show up for others, and more so myself. So I think these are my individual honest KPIs that I track, and that really keeps me going. I'm really but grateful for all the roles that gave me a unique perspective, a unique critical piece of the larger puzzle. But I think one of the roles that I truly enjoy as a professional was that of a business HR. Uh, Talent acquisition brings people in, branding tells their story, and DNI sets the culture. Learning helps amp the capability muscle, right? But to me, business HR is where the rubber meets the road. It's the exact intersection where human capital meets the organizational strategy. For me, this role wasn't just about sitting in HR silo, enforcing policies. It was about me getting a seat at the table, understanding the business goals, translating them into human realities. It really forced me to look past the traditional compliance and act as a true advisor to the business. Personally, it also redefined how I view the entire function. I would go back a decade, like you said earlier, and I remember that when I was just getting inducted into an organization along with my management trainee colleagues from marketing, from sales, from supply chain, they really used to pull my leg, saying that, you know what, Amrita is going to run the engagement calendars of the organization. She's going to do those Rangoli competitions or whatnots of the world. And it really used to irk me that they are sort of belittling my work. But I think as I donned the hat of a business HR, and as I saw the business leaders closely, one thing that really dawned upon me and became truer and truer as I spent more years is that you cannot build a sustainable business strategy without a bulletproof people strategy. It's one role that also gave me a quick sneak peek into leaders, that irrespective of whichever you're leading, but a business leader has to be good with people to make sure that they remain motivated, they are onto their jobs, and they treat it like with a humane brevity. So I think it was one of the most uh, you know um, deep realizations that I had, or innate realizations that I had, that prove that managing human energy is the ultimate driver of the business growth. So, you take pot shots at human resources, but it won't matter to me because, I have had my Buddha moment under the tree. Let's cut through that corporate noise, right? With AI reshaping every job, process, industry at a lightning speed, I think the HR community as a whole is facing a massive identity crisis. If your function remains focused on tracking attendance, rigid policies, managing paperwork, you're optimizing for things that software can already do better, right? So, in the wake of AI, the message for HR is urgent and sharp. Stop managing compliance and start architecting the human potential. If AI is automating the transactional, I think HR has to double down on the transformational, and there's no two ways about it. So, one, we need to protect the disruptors. AI thrives on patterns, humans thrive on creativity. So, stop hiring for predictable culture fit and start embracing the outliers. That's for starters. Two, I think there has to be a shift from control to safety. So, we should move away from that policing risk. If your people are afraid to fail, they will never innovate fast enough to keep the pace with technology. And last but not the least, let's reclaim the human. AI will handle the resources part of your job. Your value lies in sustaining the human energy, leading with candor, brevity, and driving empathy. So that's from my side.